All right, well, let's talk some footy. And the Eels were out of the premiership race, but it was a brave effort against the Panthers. But it's a series of controversial calls in that game that has the Blue and Gold Army asking some questions.
The Panthers have done it. The heartbreak for Parramatta. Full time. Penrith 8, Parramatta 6.
Look, I don't know if we deserve that result, but that's footy. It's the way it goes. A lot of disappointed players in the dressing sheds. Actually, they're shattered. Sometimes things don't always go your way, but there's not a lot we can do about it now.
Good old-fashioned semi-final tonight. We're in a prelim. That's where we're at. Against the reigning premiers. I mean, where else would you rather be?
Well, there's been a bit of complaining over the last couple of weeks, and they got what they were after from the back of the Whingin. How many stoppages was there tonight? How many? When we were starting to get on top, there was a lot.
And then, whistle blew for time off. I thought penalty. Kenny is down for Penrith.
Well, they had all the momentum there. Fast play the ball and a chance to attack on the left-hand side. Moses is blowing up.
The trainer has asked for the game to be stopped. It's tackle 3. No. I'm in the hands of the trainer that's asked the game to be stopped.
They're falling over the line here, I'm telling you.
Ivan Brady was here just before saying that potentially your comments throughout the last sort of 2 weeks had an impact on what happens today.
I made a comment what I believe in last week. Yeah, I don't know how that helped anyone. I didn't talk to anyone this week.
Will Penasini gets tackled off the ball. Mitchell Moses running down there to chase and gets tackled in the background off the ball.
Do you think that Ivan's comments throughout the week in the lead up to this game and the lead up to the Bunnies game had an impact on what happened tonight?
Oh, it might have helped them tonight.
Momirovski, they're riding him to the corner. Gutherson argues he was stripped of the ball.
That's right. Well, I'm proud of the boys. We'll just get on with it and we'll go again next year.
So the Eels season was extinguished, but as you saw, not without plenty of questions in the way that game unfolded. I have to say, as a game of footy, as a contest, it was one of the best we'd seen all year. I love the intensity of it, but things got super tense in the post-match press conferences. Brad Arthur was the first to shine a light on some areas that he wanted some clarity, and good on him, because the NRL had to look at it and investigate some of these issues. Let's look at the Mitch Kenny, the one involving Mitch Kenny, where the Panthers trying to stop the game before and to the irritation of the Eels just as they were on the attack and getting the momentum. Yeah, and can I just point out, in that vision we saw there, Vonnie, the two trainers that we see there on the field are actually the Parramatta trainers. So they're not on... that's now the Penrith trainer, obviously. But the Penrith trainer, when Kenny goes down hurt, rather than run on and assess Kenny like he's supposed to, and then tell the referee he needs the game stopped, actually ran up the sideline. So right there, that's the orange shirt there is actually the Parramatta trainer. So don't be mistaken there. The Penrith trainer has actually gone up the sideline to the linesman where he's saying to him, stop the game, stop the game. So his priority was to stop the game, not assist the player. Exactly.
He hadn't diagnosed the injury to even stop it.
It was not even on the... It was 30 metres away.
It's another classic NRL incident with lack of common sense. In 2 reasons, the trainer wasn't there and hadn't diagnosed him but the referee still stopped the game, which he shouldn't have done. The other act of common sense is the fact that the injured player was in absolutely no danger whatsoever. It was behind the play, Parramatta on tack. Until that boy had been examined, there was no need to stop that game.
Not only that, Buzz, there's no rule in the game that says for every injury, even every replacement injury, you have to stop the game. For a leg injury, which is he twisted an ankle, you don't need to stop the game. If it was a concussion, if he's having a fit, swallowed his tongue, something like that, you stop the game. No problems there. But when you twist an ankle, you don't stop the game.
No, he's got form too, the Penrith trainer. I think he'll be fine. The Panthers as a club will be fine. The talk is in the vicinity of around $20,000 because the trainer in question has got form. He's done it previously earlier in the season when Penrith were playing the Sharks.
Well, the NRL head of football, Graham Annesley, was asked this afternoon if the trainer needed to be with the player when he makes the assessment to stop the game.
It can depend. Sometimes things can be observed from a distance, depending on the nature of the injury. I don't want to go into too much detail because, as I said, it is currently being reviewed. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to be that way. I mean, for example, a player could be injured very close to the sideline, for example, or it could be very obvious that a player has suffered a serious injury. And I'm not saying that's what the case was in this particular incident. That will be determined, but it can be very obvious that there's a serious injury and the game needs to be stopped. There can also be situations where a player is at risk of being caught up in the play if the play continues. So there's a number of factors that can play into situations of this type, but in this particular case, we'll make all the necessary inquiries, speak to the people that we need to speak to. That information will be elevated and a decision will be made.
So Graham Annesley there, it doesn't sound, given the parameters that he just explained, it doesn't sound like this incident fits inside those to an acceptable level.
It doesn't, and it's irrelevant what he just said there, because the fact was, OK, there are incidents in the game, which I just said 2 minutes ago, that
severe,
have
broken legs, things like that.
And we all know that, but this is just a throw-off. This is where the game confuses itself, because we subtly just drift off what the topic is and we start arguing about irrelevant parts to it. It's not whether the referee can stop the game, whether he's been assessed or not. The fact was the trainer ran up the side. His priority was not to get to the injured player. It was to go up the sideline and tell the touch judge to stop the game. I don't want to say it's coached. I suspect it is, because every club does it. And this is what it happens all the time in the game. I spoke to Annesley today about it. We had colourful conversation. I'll put it that way, because I don't cop where the NRL is. He sees what I believe. This will be addressed at the end of the year. It won't save Parramatta season now, but things like this and the embarrassing laydowns that they're all getting now, pretending they got crushes. Let's remember, Penrith went ahead 8-6, which ultimately won on the game, on a penalty that wasn't a penalty because a player faked an injury.
But Graham Annesley insists that was a penalty. I was on his hook up today, but he did say it hit him under the chin. So it wasn't. If it's under the chin, it's not a head-high tackle.
I get that, but it wasn't initial contact under the chin, was it?
Well, probably not. No, but
so you look at Ferguson here now. I don't know what Kenny says to him here to get him to bounce to his feet.
It's a bad look.
Which could have been another issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
But certainly said something to spur anger in him.
Yeah, he accused him of diving. I spoke to Blake last night and he just, got really upset. I said, Blake, please, look, it looked like you dived. But what you're talking about, Kenty, and what I wrote about this morning is that high tackle where he was pinged Will Smith. Then you combine it with slowing the game down, with the trainer slowing the game down. Then you combine it with what we're about to talk to, Mitchell Moses. They start adding up into serious game-turning situations.
You're right. So are you saying, do you genuinely believe that the match officials have dudded Parramatta out of opportunity?
I don't like to use the word dudded.
No, it's not the match officials.
Whether it's a match official, whether it's the bunker...
The match officials did what the rules tell them they must do. So Ashley Klein was... You could hear him arguing with Clint Gutherson once there was a stoppage. Clint Gutherson saying, what's the problem? And he said, I've been told to stop the game. There's an injured player. I have to stop the game. You can hear him clearly say that. The fact that whether he was as serious hurt as they've made out is all irrelevant.
Well, I'll tell you whose fault it is. It's the touch judge's fault for telling the referee to stop the game before the player had been examined.
I spoke to Annesley about that. I said, why couldn't the touch judge say, mate, to the trainer, bugger off.
Go and check him.
You don't tell me. You go and check him first. And he said, well... And I copped that. He said the reason was, he said, he might not have seen Kenny on the ground. He might not know what the nature of the injury was. And if Kenny had been concussed and was convulsing or something serious like that, and the touch judge hadn't seen it but said no, then you'd say you've got a case. And Buzz, let's be honest, this is what the rules are brought in.
Do you know what this means?
We're agreeing.
No. Apart from that, which worries me, Brad Arthur's career, and he was under pressure before this game to win this final.
Spot on.
You're talking about the career of an NRL coach and a few of the players and selling memberships next year. And look, this was high pressure, Von.
It was high pressure, and you could feel that between both of these teams.